Hello. In this Coolgrad video, we're going to talk about MIS, or Management of Information Systems. So MIS is a very interesting program that combines management and technology. So in an MIS program, you learn a lot of courses which overlap with an MBA program, and you also learn a lot of courses, technical courses, which overlap with an MS program, MS in Computer Science. So it's about managing information systems. This is for project managers and people, technical managers, who need to know technology in the industry, who need to know how to use the right software tools, and who also need to know the right technical languages, and also about how to communicate and manage people and know about marketing and consumer psychology and things like that. So an MIS is a very interesting blend of technology and management. And to tell you the truth, well, a lot of students don't really know the difference between an MS, MIS, and an MBA program. I have a separate video that talks about the differences between an MS, MIS, and MBA program. Please watch that video. And after I did, spent a lot of time doing my MS in computer science, and then I did my MBA, I realized MIS would have probably been much more useful for me, because I wanted to probably be in the industry in a directorial managerial role, managing technical projects. I realized MIS would have been much more useful for me. So I didn't know any better at the time of applying, but later I realized it. So after watching this video, you'll probably understand what courses are there in an MIS program, the structure of the program, and whether it's really suited for you. You got to think about, most people usually only pursue a master's degree or a PhD program once in a lifetime. So you got to think about whether you should do an MS in computer science or MIS, or would you rather do an MBA. You got to think about it before you apply and make the right choice. So let's take a good look at what the MIS program consists of. What is MIS? MIS is a graduate level program designed to teach you how to manage technical projects and teams using the required software, tools, IT, and business knowledge. And it also talks about people management and resource management, and also about presentation and communication skills. It's the right blend of technical courses, management courses, and software tools that are used in the industry in an enterprise-wide setting. So, types of MIS courses. So we learn some fundamental management courses such as marketing, finance, economics, business communications, presentation skills, accounting, statistics. These are some of the core courses that are studied in an MBA and also in an MIS program, usually the first year. So we learn the fundamentals of marketing and finance and economics, which are used to make managerial decisions. We learn technical courses such as programming in Java, web design, data mining, data warehousing, IT system design, object-oriented programming and design. We learn a lot of these technical courses. MIS also requires some kind of programming and technical knowledge. So you learn courses on specific technologies and concepts in the IT industry that include the use of specific software tools and techniques, such as project management. They teach you how to use like MS Project to make Gantt charts. BPM, business process management, using the right software tools. CRM, customer relationship management, using tools like Salesforce or any other CRM tool like SAP. ERP, what is enterprise resource planning? And then enterprise data management. So it's like database management systems at an enterprise level. Business intelligence. So you learn a lot of these tools which are actually in the industry. So suppose, after you graduate with your master's program, you become a project manager who's managing a business intelligence project. Suppose you've done your MBA. You know all about, preparing budgets, managing the quality, you know the theory about, how to manage people and stakeholder satisfaction and communication skills. But if you don't know what business intelligence is, do you think you'd make a good project manager? You won't have the technical knowledge. And such project managers usually become puppets of the other functional project managers. So they usually have like a subject matter expert or a SME. SME is called a SME. So the subject matter expert usually does all the research about how to implement this project in business intelligence. and they give their inputs to the project manager, and the project manager feeds it to the executive management without really understanding the nitty-gritties of the technology. Or if you're managing like a Salesforce CRM project, if you don't know the technical stuff, you don't know how Salesforce works, you don't know what CRM is at the technical level, how do you think you can manage the project? You will become a puppet in the hands of the business analysts and the product owners and the functional project managers. I've seen a lot of such people. If you are managing an SAP project or a Salesforce project, it's very important that you know the underlying technology. Otherwise, it's less likely that you will manage it successfully. And so, if you are thinking about getting in the industry and getting into management, becoming a tech lead or a business analyst or a project manager or a program manager for a technical project in any of these technologies, it's better you do a program like MIS, which equips you with the right software tools and technologies and skills. So if you do an MS in computer science, you'll only be learning more about programming and compiler design and research and artificial intelligence and a whole lot of other courses. You can watch my video about Masters in Computer Science and what it entails. They don't really tell you what tools and software are used in the industry. They don't teach you how to make Gantt charts. They don't teach you what CRM software exists and how it works. They don't tell you about how business intelligence projects and technology works, how these tools work. Usually, I'm just saying. And in an MBA, if you study like marketing or finance or entrepreneurship, you learn all about the theory of these subjects. But that doesn't give you the technical knowledge that you need to manage a technical project. So if you are thinking about becoming a technical program manager or project manager or working in the industry on different technologies, MIS is probably the best suited course for you. So let's take a good look at all the courses that are in an MIS program. So these are the core courses and those are the electives. Core courses in MIS, Business Foundations of IT. So what are the business requirements that drive IT, that need to be modeled in an IT system? So what is marketing? They learn the fundamentals of marketing, which is also usually the same as what they learn in MBA, fundamentals of marketing. Economics. So these are, core theoretical subjects in most of these programs. And finance. You learn about what determines if a company is profitable, how the cash flow varies, and then, you learn about operating, capital and different types of investment and, how to do mergers, acquisitions, some basic fundamentals of finance, not in very much depth. Business communications and presentation skills. These are mandatory skills for any manager or even a team player, especially if you're at the executive management. You must know how to present data in a concise, interesting, and articulate way to the rest of the company. Statistical analysis. So we talk about different types of statistical derivations and the theories and how you analyze different data using statistical models and what it implies for the organization. Web application development. So we talk about how to use different types of coding languages and different types of web application software to develop web-based projects. How websites operate and how you determine whether a website is successful. And you can also study different pages, like how users navigate to different pages and when they go to a particular page, they lose interest, whatever, and they drop off. And how you can make websites more responsive and interactive and successful. We study all about these using analytics tools. And we learn about how to construct the underlying database and how to design web pages, how to do user interfaces and page navigation. We learn all about web-based application development. So information security in public and private sectors. So information security is another important component of an MIS program. So sometimes MIS majors can major in info security. So they can study a lot of information security courses and major in information security in an MIS program. And they can get specialized certificates. But sometimes they can just take 1 or 2 mandatory courses in information security. Information systems risk management. So this is a slightly different course from the public and private sector info security management. Risk management, we talk about what are the different threats and how to proactively prevent them and things like that. Software system design. So we talk about how to do basic software architecture and software modeling, and model the business processes and translate them into business requirements at an architectural level, so that the entire system is scalable and sustainable. So when you think about designing a complex ERP enterprise level project, it's not easy to do. It's not something that an amateur can do. It's not something a developer can do. It's like building a house. If you ask the plumber, he knows only about plumbing. The electrician knows only about electrical stuff, and the bricklayer knows only about how many bricks are required to lay the walls and the windows and things like that. And if you ask the carpenter, he knows only about the carpentry part. But to design the entire house, only an architect can do it. The blueprinting, the bigger picture. So if you ask a plumber, he may say, hey, I can do this in 2 months. The electrician may say, I can do it in 2 weeks. And the bricklayer may say, I can do it in 6 months, build this entire house. But they cannot see the bigger picture and how these various components are interlinked and how they impact each other and what goes before what. The functional dependencies, functional and technical dependencies. So all these, this bigger picture can only be seen by a software solutions architect. And to scale up to be an architect, it's not easy. It takes a few years of experience. First you be a developer, that's like the bricklayer. Then you learn a little bit of translating business requirements into system specifications, like a business analyst. So ask the customer what they want and translate it into like a blueprint or for the other people. And then you talk about how to do different aspects of building a house. Learn about what you can do, what you cannot do when you're doing plumbing, what you can do, what you cannot do when you're doing electrical layouts. And when you have the whole big picture, finally you can become an architect. So it's all about scalable software system design. Object-oriented programming and design. We also talk about objects, classes, interfaces. So these objects, it's like they study basically some kind of Java, .NET. If you have a fundamental knowledge of C, C++, even if you don't know Java, you can just buy the book like Java for Dummies or something, and you can learn it within a month. If you know C++, you can learn Java, right? It's not such a big deal. It just requires a lot of practice. So MIS electives. So these are most of the core courses in an MIS program, any MIS program. So electives, you can study project management. That's usually not a core course. And it's a very useful subject to take. I took this elective even though I was an MBA student, and it helped me about learning the different aspects of project management and how to make Gantt charts. It's very useful to know MS Project and software like that. Enterprise data management. You learn about SQL queries and how databases work and things like that. Business intelligence. So we learn about how to interpret data and present it in a form that is concise and required by the executive management. Data warehousing. It's about consolidating data from various different sources and putting them in one source, one kind of database in a standard normalized format. So it's easy to fetch and interpret data. Data mining. These courses kind of overlap, and it's about identifying patterns in data and what it implies for organizations. Business process management. It's about laying out standard business processes in an enterprise, which automate a lot of activities and lay out standard procedures which bring agility to the enterprise. Startup management. It's about how to launch a company and all the problems that go with it, and how to get financing and venture capital, and how to set up a startup company and get the resources and do the marketing and design products. And this is very exciting. It's one of my passions, startups. So e-commerce. It's about how do you do training online and what it implies, and all the details that go into it. Negotiations. So negotiations are like it's about how you communicate with different stakeholders to push your proposition across and get what you want, so you get a win-win situation. Enterprise innovation. So it's about doing new things in a company and introducing new products, new services, and what are the pros and cons, what you can do, what you cannot do, overlaps a little bit with marketing. It's about finding ways to improvise an enterprise. Global management. This is when you want to manage cross-territory, cross-country projects. Global management. You have to take into account cultural considerations, the rules and laws in different countries, and also the costs involved in setting up, branches and getting resources from across different countries, and also about how to coordinate time and coordinate the resources across different territories. It's not a joke to manage a global project. So we learn a lot of these things in an MIS program. Typically, there might be a lot of other interesting electives that are offered by select universities, but these are usually the courses that are offered in almost most of the universities that offer MIS. So how long is typically an MIS program? So a program refers to the entire MIS program, which consists of many courses. So the program is usually 3 semesters and a summer long. So it's usually about 17 months long, and you can do it in like 3 semesters and a summer. And summer internship is optional. So if you don't do a summer internship, nobody's going to hold it against you. So if you just took vacations in summer, I know a lot of students, they didn't do an internship. They just enjoyed their summer, took a break, went to Spain and went skiing in the Swiss Alps, and not in the summer, but they went to India, or they just enjoyed their vacation. But their future employers didn't hold it against them in any way. If you didn't do an internship, you can just say I took a break. It's okay, I was traveling. It's okay, it's nothing to be ashamed of. So internships are optional, but if you do an internship, it's likely that it might get converted into a full-time offer. MIS program requirements. So usually to graduate, like you would need a minimum 3.0 GPA. That's minimum of B grades in all the courses. Or sometimes you can have a cumulative GPA of 3.0. So you get a 1A and 1C, averages out to a B. If you're from a country that doesn't this is like, even for admission, usually you need like at least a B grade. So in some countries where they don't use a 4.0 GPA scale, use the GPA calculator to convert your academic scores to 4.0 GPA scale. For example, the University of Arizona at this URL, msms.ella.arizona.edu/GPA_calculator. If you go to this link, there is a software which helps you convert your undergraduate GPA into undergraduate percentage into 4.0 GPA. So it's useful to know what your GPA is. So even if you have 69 or 70%, it might qualify to be an A grade sometimes, depending on your university and your core courses, how you performed in them. There are different ways in which they calculate this. And sometimes you might need more than 75% to get an A grade. It really depends, okay? So this is a good place to convert it into a 4.0 scale GPA. Before joining MIS program, students should have experience in computer programming and in particular web programming. Good to spend a few weeks to learn HTML, DHTML, .NET, Java. It's good to know this before you join the MIS program. Otherwise, you're going to find it very difficult in the program. I know students who didn't have this technical programming background who came to the MIS program, and there were some core technical courses, and they all ended up getting C grades and less than C grades. They really suffered in that particular course. So it's good to brush up your programming skills, object-oriented programming, before you start the MIS program. MIS applicants should have knowledge and experience with Java, JSP, servlets, PHP, and .NET or J2EE. So knowledge of databases like ODBC, JDBC, that's also very important. Good to know something about SQL and databases, and good to know about programming and web-based programming. So the most popular areas of specialization in MIS program are digital business systems, data mining, business intelligence, information security systems, ERP, CRM, and project management. So these are different specializations you can have, or you can just do a generic MIS program with some courses from here and there. It doesn't really matter. So you can specialize in business intelligence, for example, for which you have to take like a whole bunch of 5 or 6 courses related to business intelligence, and then you get certified that you did the MIS in the business intelligence track. or you do MIS with a specialization on information security. Then you can become like a network administrator or a system administrator, and you can become an expert in information security. So you could specialize in something if you have interest in it, or you could just do a generic MIS program. So I have a separate video about this, the comparison between MIS, MS in computer science and MBA, but I'm just going to talk about it briefly here. So what is green means that this program offers these, helps you with this, and what is red means it doesn't help you with this knowledge, and what is like orange means, or yellow means like you learn a little bit of it. So when it comes to core computer science theory, algorithms, applications, you learn it in an MS, but not in an MBA or MIS. You want to learn about computation theory, how to apply algorithms, and do all the space and time complexity analysis. Then you should do a master's in computer science, and not an MBA or MIS. Programming skills: C, C++, Java, .NET. Want to learn programming and improve your programming skills, parallel programming, distributed programming, all these things. Then you should probably do an MS in computer science and not an MBA or MIS. Core computer science subjects like operating systems, distributed computing, computer networking, artificial intelligence, compiler design, all these things if you want to learn, then you should do MS in computer science and not MBA or MIS. So technical functional system design, that is also mostly MS in computer science and also to a great degree in MIS, but usually not in an MBA. So software solutioning and architecture. You want to learn about how to design a software system at an architectural level, then you should do MS in computer science and not MBA. Or you can also do MIS. They still teach you, solutioning and architecture in an MIS program, usually. Database management, enterprise data management, SQL, DBMS, database management systems, then you should do MS in computer science or MIS. But in MBA, sometimes they teach you some degree of it, but it's not like a mandatory course. Enterprise software and tools such as MS Project, BPM, BI, business intelligence, web design. You want to learn these, like enterprise specific software IT tools, then you should probably do MIS and not MS in computer science or MBA. Communication skills. You want to learn communication skills, presentation skills and things like that, then you should probably do MBA or MIS and not MS in computer science. Because in MS, they probably don't care how well you communicate. It's not about making presentations. I've known very good researchers and programmers who can just sit in their chair and do coding all day, but they're not really great speakers, or they're not very articulate or something. I don't think they hold that against you in an MS program. But if you're writing a thesis report or something, of course you have to have a good writing style. But it's more important in an MS and MBA and MIS program. Communication skills, presentation skills are paramount. There's one course all about making PowerPoints and what to say, what not to say. It was one of the most useful courses I ever took, business communications. We had a really phenomenal instructor in my university, in my MBA program, and after doing that course, I realized how much I didn't know about, effective business communications and about like crisis communication. People are shooting questions at you. How do you handle them with equanimity? Without getting tensed and offended. How do you handle such situations? You learn all about negotiations, crisis communication, what to say, what not to say. How to make PowerPoints and things like that. It's very useful. You want to learn presentation skills, then it's about MBA or MIS, but not MS. Marketing, innovation, sales of products. You want to learn about sales, marketing, innovation, then you should probably do MBA or MIS and not MS in computer science. So, how to manage people, teams, and companies. You do MBA or MIS, but not MS in computer science. Accounting, finance, statistics. You learn that fundamentals of these in MBA and MIS, but not in MS in computer science. Entrepreneurship and startup company management. You learn that in an MBA program, and mostly to a large extent in an MIS program too, if you take that course, but not in an MS and computer science program. They don't teach you how to launch a company and manage an enterprise. So, how to lead and manage technical teams and projects. They don't teach you that in an MS in computer science, but they teach you to some degree about this in an MBA program. They don't really teach you the underlying technology, the IT tools that I used, meaning they don't teach you what business intelligence is or CRM is, but you can still manage a project to some extent. But if you do MIS, you're better equipped to manage a technical IT project. So this is like a comparison and contrast between MBA, MS, and MIS. Enterprise data management. So fundamentals of database analysis, design, and implementation. So in this fundamental course, enterprise data management, we learn about how to design and solution a database, how to prepare all the tables, the layout of the primary keys, the links between the tables, database analysis and implementation. Emphasis is on practical aspects of business process analysis and the accompanying database design and development. So we have to analyze the business process, and based on that you have to create a database structure. You must know how to handle and manage large-scale enterprise data. So there's all this really large data, and then you must know how to categorize the data and store it appropriately, and then how to fetch the data as and when required, and how not to mess up the tables, and how to migrate the data, and how to analyze and identify patterns in this data, and what it implies for the organization. You have to learn about all these things. So when there's all these data, like for example, sales are happening more in Washington and less in Arizona. So what does this mean? It either means like the sales people in Arizona are not efficient, or is it because of the geographical distribution, or is it because there's no market demand? You have to try and analyze what's really going on, and based on that you have to take appropriate action for the resources and the company's strategy going forward. So this is a very important fundamental course. So enterprise data management also involves conceptual design of databases using entity relationship model and relational design and normalization. So it's about storing data in a standard normalized fashion. And web and cloud-based database design. So nowadays we're moving towards cloud-based database design, where like in cloud-based programming, there's this concept of governor limits, especially if you're using like Salesforce or things like that. So each company has a space on the cloud, and they're all having their applications, their software, their database, everything on this cloud, and you cannot monopolize resources. It's very different from writing a standalone program. For example, you write a program in C++ to find the factorial of a number. So you write something and it makes a n number of calls to the database, you make so many updates, whatever, and you get the output. It doesn't affect anybody else. But that's not true when you're on the cloud. When you're on the cloud, you're sharing resources with the rest of the world, and you cannot monopolize resources such as processors or storage space. So when you're on the cloud, this concept of governor limits. You can't do more than like 200 inserts or updates at one time in a SQL or SQL query. So that is to prevent one particular tenant, a tenant is an organization in the cloud, from monopolizing resources. So when the developers move from a standalone environment to a cloud-based environment, whenever they're writing code, they have to check for governor limits to make sure the code is correctly bulkified and the governor limits are not violated. So this is something that developers find difficult to do. They come from coding in standalone environments, and when they move to cloud-based development like Salesforce or something, they forget to do this check. I'm just mentioning that. And implementation using Oracle or some other modern database management systems. So we learn about how to use different database management systems. Writing structured database queries using SQL or PL/SQL, preparing data models, creating tables and setting up primary keys, joining tables using inner joins, outer joins. We learn all about database management systems. So this is one of the fundamental courses for any MIS program usually. So sometimes students may be required to work with an organization in understanding their business requirements, developing a detailed set of requirements to support the business processes, and designing and implementing a web-based database application to support their database day-to-day business operations and decision-making. They might have you work with a startup company to design a database for their company to simulate their business processes and make it work for them. So they do some kind of hands-on projects sometimes too. Project management. So project management is the application of knowledge, analytical skills, software tools, and techniques related to various project activities in order to meet project requirements. It is increasingly reorganized as an essential business skill. So, if you study project management, in this course, usually in any university, in an MBA or MIS program, they use the standard material which you would require to take for your PMP certification. So you study this material, and then you have to have an appropriate few years of work experience, and then you can take the PMP exam and get certified. So a lot of project manager positions, they require that you're PMP certified. Well, sometimes you know all the theory about project management, but you might never be a good project manager if you don't have practical skills about how to motivate your resources and things like that. But you know, I've seen project managers who were not certified, PMP certified, but they really managed so well. And some of them, they knew all the theory, had all these fancy degrees, but they didn't know how to get work done. So in addition to getting the certificates, you also have to have it in you to manage teams. So it's not everybody's cup of tea. Everybody cannot be a good project manager, believe me. So project management is like 360-degree assessment. If you're a project manager in an industry, you have to manage at least 6 dimensions of a project. So one is the budget, using MS Project, so you prepare all these Gantt charts, project plans, and you have to allocate budget, and then you get the resources. You have to be able to interview and hire the right talent, and also make sure they get their good work-life balance, and they will not take care of their interpersonal issues, and make sure they, you know, the resources are paid, and you know they're qualified, and you know, you have to decide how many resources to get and how many you require and things like that. So one is the budget, then the resources, and then the timeline. You have to know what work can be done in parallel, what has to be done sequentially. So you have to determine, like, you know, usually in an agile project we prepare the sprint plan. So we determine how many sprints are required, how many sprints can be done in parallel, and we decide how much time this project needs to be executed. And we prepare the project timeline. And then we have to take care of the quality. So you can sometimes deliver a project within budget and within time, and people are happy, and everything is going great, but what about the quality? The website is like full of bugs and it's crashing every half an hour. So if the quality is not good, then it's a failure. So take care of quality. And then you have to take care of, so we talked about budget and, you know, resources, timeline, quality, and the scope of work. And then the stakeholder satisfaction. So scope of work is about getting a signature from the customer about what is the scope of work. So suppose he wants a shoe made of gold, of this particular, a shoe made of silver, of this particular size and dimensions, and he gives you. You sign the statement of work, and then it's frozen. If he makes changes to it, it has to come through a change request or enhancement request. And that goes through a separate process of requiring how much more effort and cost and resources it would take, and not to mention time. So if he signed up for making a silver shoe, you give him a silver shoe. You don't give him a shoe made of gold, because that's not what he wanted. You have to give him what he wants, what he signed up for. And also, it's about managing the scope of work. Make sure there's no scope creep. Make sure the customer can say, you know what, why don't you add this here and do that here? It has to come through a formal change request process. So you have to manage the scope of work, and then you also have to manage the stakeholders. Come on, if your executive sponsor, your management is not happy, then the project cannot be successful. So you have to manage all these different dimensions of a project, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. I've seen project managers who could not motivate their people. People would not cooperate with them, and they would just cry, saying, I can't manage these people, I'm leaving, you know, that kind. And some project managers were not technically skilled, they were not very qualified, they were not very smart, but they knew how to get along with people and manage resources, and they were actually able to do a very good job. Sometimes the project manager delegates the quality aspect of the project to a separate quality assurance manager. So I've known project managers who were like crying at the end of the project. It's very stressful, and they said, hell, I'm going back to being a developer. I just want to be an individual contributor, a team player, you know, just a team member contributing, you know, to the team. And Somebody gives me work, I just do it and give it back to the person without having to deal with people and politics. A lot of people are in that situation. And another problem faced by project managers is that your team members, sometimes they may be lying to you. You tell them, they tell you, everything is fine, I'm taking care of it, I'm doing it. And then you go and inspect, they wouldn't have done anything. So, project management is not everybody's cup of tea. Like, for example, if you watch Grey's Anatomy, the medical show, which is very popular, there were two people in the race for the chief resident at the Seattle Grace Hospital. There was this Miranda Bailey and there was Dr. Kelly Torres. So the way Dr. Bailey conducts herself, when she would call the residents, they would come running and she could take care of the administrative details, how to schedule things and get them done. Dr. Torres was a very efficient orthopedic surgeon, but she didn't know how to manage people. If she called them, they wouldn't give a damn. Managing people is an art. You must know how to get work done without taking them off, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. So in the project management course, we talk about how to use MS Project to create project plans, Gantt charts, resource scheduling, task allocation, and things like that. And we also implement some sample projects, learn to work in teams, learn to manage timeline, scope, budget, quality, stakeholders, and resources. So now we talk about CRM. CRM is Customer Relationship Management. That's about the operations of a company, including marketing, pre-sales, sales, establishing contracts and warranties, help desk, field service, training and education, customer portal. These are all different customer relationship management activities that any organization performs. Think about it. So, whether it's a company like Facebook, or a company like Amazon.com, or a company like Microsoft, or a company like Zynga, which makes video games, or whether it's the United Nations as an organization, or whether it's a university, or whether it's a startup company, whether it's like General Motors, an automotive company, or whether it's a Toyota, or whether it's a company making leather items, a company making arts and crafts, whichever company, what do they all do? They sell something essentially, right? So it's either a product or a service. So if it's a product, they usually make this product and put it up there, and then they can customize it for various customers. But if it's product based, they put up the products there and people purchase it. Like say Apple makes products. And some companies work on services, like say Infosys or Wipro in India. They offer various services to customers. So they bid for projects, get a project implemented, implement another project, that kind. So usually there are two types of services, either product based or service based. So any of these organizations, they have to do marketing. They have to market themselves, brand themselves, and know who their customers are, what the market really wants. Most of these companies spend millions of dollars trying to understand the marketplace and consumer psychology and what the consumers really want. Talk about marketing. Pre-sales. It's about showcasing your products to the customers to understand what they want and getting their feedback and improvising it and convincing them to purchase your products. So sales is all about, covering the system for the customer, making a quote, negotiating the price, and finally getting the purchase order and then, giving them the invoice. So establishing contracts and warranties. So talk about the terms and conditions in the warranties, the contracts. But some companies have like annual renewal of warranties. Some companies have like 5-year warranties, or some companies, they have different ways of setting up the contracts and warranties. Help desk. So most companies have like a call center. So if your Dell laptop is not working or something, you call up the help desk, call center, and that's the help desk module. So if this person cannot solve it, he escalates it to his manager within this certain period of time. And when the case is closed, they give you back the summary of the case. There's all these rules and SLAs, that service level agreements. So there's a help desk module that most companies have. And then there's the field service, like if a company is installing an equipment at a customer site. Let's say a company is selling like say cancer radiation equipment. They have to go to the hospitals and install this. And there are rules about who can repair it. You have to give them a work order and how these equipment are repaired. Periodically you have to do maintenance inspections, and every time there's an upgrade you have to go and upgrade these systems, and how the work orders, it goes to the payroll and things like that. So that's the field service module. So some companies have a field service module, some companies don't need it. Like for example, if Microsoft is just selling laptops in the store, I mean, they're probably not sending technicians to go and repair them in individual houses. So I don't know if they have like a field service module, but if a company like, say, Varian Medical Systems is selling cancer radiation equipment, then they have to go to the hospitals and send their technicians to repair them. So they need this module. So the training and education, it's about training people about these products and software and services, giving them manuals, conducting workshops, getting them familiar about how to use these systems and products. That's a module. And customer portal, that's usually the website of the company or this product where people can go and they can log their complaints, they can check out the features, upgrades, latest news, and they can track their orders and things like that. So these are all the activities in customer relationship management which any organization does. So imagine if an organization had to build this CRM system from scratch. All these operations need to be tracked in a software system. So an IT system must have to prepare, they have to store all these sales orders, purchase orders, invoices, their warranties, all these details in the software system. And if they had to design the system from scratch, just imagine the complexity and the amount of work and the amount of thoughts that need to go into it. But instead, what many organizations do is they take standard built-in software systems, like a lot of ERP software, like whether it's Salesforce CRM or SAP CRM module, or there might be an Oracle product, and there used to be PeopleSoft, which was acquired by other companies. So there's so many companies which offer CRM. So they purchase the CRM package. Most companies don't do CRM wildly different from each other. It's usually a similar process. Sales is usually a standard similar process. It's just slightly different between companies if you think about it. Help desk module. Most companies, they don't do it wildly different from each other, although they like to believe their model is unique. They usually do it in a similar way. So they take the standard ERP software like Salesforce or SAP CRM, and then they tweak it, they modify it, customize it to suit their business processes. So in CRM, we learn about all these different business processes and how they are done in a software system, what is out of the box, what is customizable, what is not customizable, how to customize it. And usually, like a business analyst will have to go to the customer and say, this is what it gives out of the box. You want to customize it this way, it costs this amount of effort and this much of resources, this much time and this much cost. Do you want to do this or not? You tell them the pros and cons. So this is all about CRM. And in MIS, they give you an overview about CRM. Business process management, BPM, is a discipline involving any combination of modeling, automation, execution, control, measurement, and optimization of business activity flows in support of enterprise goals spanning systems, employees, customers, and partners within and beyond the enterprise boundaries. So, business process management is a field in operations management that focuses on improving corporate performance by managing and optimizing a company's business processes. So BPM provides agility to an enterprise and makes it scalable and sustainable. So it's a process optimization process. So BPM enables organizations to be more efficient, more effective, and more capable of change than a functionally focused, traditional and hierarchical management approach. So with increasing complexity in organizations, it's important to lay out the business processes and have them in place. So if one person is leaving the company and another person comes in, he should be able to ramp up immediately by just studying the business processes. And in some organizations, I've noticed their employees have been there like for 20, 30 years and they have all these business processes in their heads, but nobody's ever bothered to document them. It's important to document these processes and create like a workflow and automating a lot of things in the organization to improve efficiency and bring agility to the enterprise. Let's talk about like a simple, the goal of BPM is to reduce human error and miscommunication and focus stakeholders on the requirements of their roles. So let's talk about like a system where A simple activity like interview. Now suppose various managers in this company are interviewing candidates. They have to fill out ask particular types of questions to assess the candidate, and then they have to write their feedback in a particular way and communicate it to the concerned person, and then they have to schedule the next round of interview and then make a decision, go, no go, and inform the candidate, and if there is make the right decision, then if they're going to get this candidate on board, there's the onboarding process. Now for example, interview is a process. We can lay out the procedures and automate a lot of things. And onboarding is a process. So when the person comes in, what all does he need to be trained on? For a workshop, he has to be familiar with the company procedures and policies. And we have to get him, a system, and we have to get him a single sign-on ID, and we have to get him a laptop, and so many requirements of onboarding. This whole process can be automated. Suppose this HR manager is doing a very good job at onboarding, and then he quits, and the new person comes in. He should be able to take it up from there and do a good job with minimal ramp-up time. So this is about, we talked about two examples, interviewing, onboarding, and let's talk about a simple process like leave process, leave policy management. Like if somebody is going on vacation or taking sick leave or paid time off. So what is the process? In the olden days, it used to be like, you had to get the written approval from the manager, and if the manager was not there in person to approve your leave request, you couldn't take time off. But nowadays, it's no longer like that. Even if your manager is traveling to some other country, if you apply for a leave request by filling the standard forms in the system, the manager, wherever he is, he gets a notification on his cell phone. And he can, through his cell phone, he can say yes or no, approved or rejected. That saves everybody so much time, so much effort, and the whole process is kind of more efficient. And it's about interlinking various systems too. So talking about, like, say, the interview process. I was once at the Dreamforce. That's the conference held by Salesforce. It's like a huge event in San Francisco, and a few years back there was the hackathon where some of these undergrad kids programmed and wrote a lot of interesting apps on Salesforce. And one of the winning teams, like they were the finalists, and they had written this app about how to optimize interviews using a Salesforce app. So it's like if the manager is interviewing a candidate, he can record the whole thing on his tablet. So the interview is audio video recorded. So if he wants to revert and go back to what the questions were asked, so the whole interview is audio video recorded. And then as the candidate is talking, he can scribble and write some notes. And then there's a list of questions that pops up, which he can remind himself to ask the candidate. And also, after the interview is done, he can immediately submit his feedback, and it automatically goes to the concerned person. So this whole process was made so efficient and optimized, and he can also rank the candidate on various aspects of his personality. Say communication skills, he can give him 8 on 10. There's like numbers from 1 to 10 that appear, and he can pick a number. And he can assess the candidate on technical knowledge, give him a score. So he can do his assessment while the interview is going on or soon after, and then so it automatically, the feedback goes there. So it was a very efficient way of conducting interviews, and I thought that was really cool. So BPM is all about laying out the standard processes and procedures and optimizing them. So BPM is a subset of infrastructure management, an administrative area concerned with maintaining and optimizing an organization, equipment, and core operations. So BPM is often a point of connection within a company between the line of business and the IT department. Business Process Execution Language, BPEL, Business Process Management Notification are both created to facilitate communication between IT and the line of business. So BPM is kind of facilitating communication between the IT and the line of business. So there's a business team, IT team, they can all kind of work together. It's about using IT to optimize the business processes. And now that gives you, I think, some overview about business process management. There's all these workflows and all these things designed to provide agility to an enterprise. And I think BPM is really cool. So let's now talk about business intelligence. What is business intelligence? BI, or business intelligence, can be described as a set of techniques and tools for the acquisition and transformation of raw data into meaningful and useful information for business analysis purposes. BI allows for the easier interpretation of these large volumes of unstructured data, preparing custom dashboards for C-level management, VPs, etc. to get required data in tabular form. So, business intelligence is all about, the set of techniques and tools used to organize, extract, and transform raw data into meaningful data. So if the vice president of sales of this company wants to have a dashboard, he doesn't have time to look at all the individual numbers, consolidate them, and then infer whatever. He would expect his business intelligence team to prepare these dashboards for him. Come on, he's a VP, his time is precious, right? So these people prepare all these dashboards. So it's about how many sales opportunities were identified, how many leads were identified, and how many of them get converted to opportunities, how many of them took a demo, pre-sales, and how many of them followed up, how many of them actually got translated into closure. So all these statistics, and there's also statistics by region, statistics by individual team member. So we want to know how each one is performing. There's all these KPIs, key performance indicators. We want to know how people are performing. And even let's say we are doing a software quality assurance project, and the QA manager or the VP of QA wants to know different statistics about the quality, like how many defects were found in each stage of testing, and what is the rate of bug closure, how many were P1, high priority, medium priority, low priority defects, and how many test cases were executed, what was the ratio of bugs found to bugs closed, and how many bugs were reappearing in testing, that kind. So these are different kinds of dashboards, and there's all kinds of dashboards you can have about, like, say, marketing campaign management, and sometimes about various operations in the company. VP of finance wants to see a different report, CEO wants to see a different dashboard, and the sales guy wants to see a different dashboard. So there's all these different dashboards in the organization, and using business intelligence we can have various dashboards. It's about gathering data, presenting it in a tabular format using various graphs and charts and tools like that, and it's about making inferences and projections for the organization. What does this mean? Let's say we're finding a lot of bugs that are reappearing. What does it mean? It means they didn't do a root cause analysis to identify the root cause of the bugs that were appearing in the first place. They didn't fix them correctly, so that's why these bugs are reappearing. So you can make all these inferences and make projections about the future of, predict the trend in which the organization is going. So it's about gathering raw data and making meaning out of it, and inferences and projections. That's what, that's one of the focus of business intelligence. So for example, if there's a website and we want to know how this website is performing, it's not easy to measure. There's so many different ways in which it could be doing well or not doing well. Technically, is it giving you a good response time? Is it sustaining? That's a different dashboard. And it's also about analyzing using tools like Google Analytics. You can measure, redesign, and improve websites to attract visitors. And so we can identify how many visitors come to the homepage, how many of them are able to get to their my profile, my account page, and after that, which page do they go to? And they go to 3 or 4 pages, and then they lose interest. They're not buying the products. And when are they actually losing interest? Why? Is it because the web page is taking too much time to load, or this is not attractive, they're not getting the right information, they're losing patience? What is happening? So we try and make all these analysis, and we try and make websites more responsive and user-friendly and successful. So these courses are designed to explore information system trends and methods for effectively finding and utilizing data to an organization's advantage. Business intelligence technologies provide historical, current, and predictive views of business operations. BI is made up of an increasing number of components, including multidimensional aggregation and allocation, denormalization, tagging, and standardization, real-time reporting with an analytical alert. So a lot of vice presidents and staff, they want real-time data, and if there's something going wrong, something is in a danger level, it gives them an alert sometimes. And a method of interfacing with unstructured data sources. Not all data comes from a very structured database. So we have to learn to normalize different tables, denormalize where required, get all the data consolidated in one data warehouse sometimes, identify patterns through data mining, and make inferences. It's all science. Statistical inference and probabilistic simulation, and key performance indicators optimization, version control and process management. So common functions of business intelligence technologies are reporting, online analytical processing, analytics, data mining, process mining, complex event processing, business performance management, benchmarking, text mining, predictive analysis, and prescriptive analysis. So predictive is like a proactive measure in which you predict when something is about to go wrong. And prescriptive analysis is when something has already gone wrong and you tell them how to fix it, so by doing a root cause analysis. So industry applications of BI. Business intelligence can be applied to the following business processes in order to drive business value. Measurement, a program that creates a hierarchy of performance metrics. And benchmarking that informs business leaders about progress towards business goals. So the organization has these business goals. Let's say the VP of sales says, I want to set up branch offices in 3 states, say Arizona and Washington and Florida, and there's one of course in Massachusetts, so 4 different offices, and we want to allot them to different territories in the US, and we want to see how these territories progress, how the sales are doing, and we want to get a revenue of say $10 million in 2 years. We have to have a plan and monitor our progress periodically by benchmarking. So we have to make predictions about whether they're on the right track, what's right, what's not right, how to get it up to the mark. So it's about measurement of progress. Analytics, so a program that builds quantitative processes for a business to arrive at optimal decisions and to perform business knowledge discovery. Frequently involves data mining, process mining, statistical analysis, predictive modeling, business process modeling, data lineage, complex events processing, and prescriptive analysis. So analytics is a whole science of analyzing what's going on by making inferences from data and predictions and prescriptions for the organization to meet its goals. And then there's reporting. So it's a program that builds infrastructure for strategic reporting to serve the strategic management of a business, not operational reporting. So it involves data visualization, executive information system, and OLAP, so online analytical processing. So it's it's about presenting to the executive management data in the format that is most useful for them. Collaboration and collaboration platform. So a program that gets different areas, both inside and outside the business, to work together through data sharing and electronic data interchange. It's about how you get different departments to coordinate and collaborate because they all have a common goal of making the organization succeed. It's about cross-department collaboration and cross-team collaboration. So we have to provide the marketing team has to give the right kind of inputs to the sales team, and the sales team needs the right kind of inputs from the product innovation team. So if they're making good products, it's easier for them to sell. And sometimes they make all these products and the sales team is not able to sell them. So it's all these complex interactions. So knowledge management, a program to make the company data-driven through strategies and practices to identify, create, represent, distribute, and enable adoption of insights and experiences that are true business knowledge. Knowledge management leads to learning management and regulatory compliance. So let's say a field service engineer, for example, went to repair an equipment, okay? There's this huge cancer radiation equipment in the hospital, and this company, let's say Variant Medical Systems, is supplying all these equipments to different hospitals. So these field service engineers go there all the time and they repair these equipment, and in the process they learn new things, knowledge management. They find out that when you come across this problem, what really must have triggered it was that problem. So they write a knowledge article about it. And then sometimes they find quicker ways, efficient ways of doing things. And sometimes they learn so much as they're doing things on the job. Sometimes there was a problem with the installation which caused this problem. Sometimes Customer was not trained how to use this correctly, so that caused this problem. So that is an input for the training department. Next time when you're doing the training, emphasize that they should not make this mistake. So suppose the guy who was doing the installation didn't do his job right, then that caused the problem in the use of this equipment. So then we write a knowledge article, and during installation the guys are trained. So the installation guy is advised to make sure this problem doesn't occur during installation. So there's all these knowledge articles that they put in a knowledge base and then reuse them, optimize them, and improvise their processes. So the training guy, let's say this lady was doing an amazing job at training all the customers how to use this cancer radiation equipment. She forgot to emphasize on these particular topics, and that was causing them to use the equipment wrongly. So if the field service engineer learns about it, he can put it as an input in the knowledge article, and then they can inform this lady, next time you're doing training, include this in your presentation and your training material. So she can do a better job at training. So it's all about optimizing the business process of a company. Or let's say they configured a particular equipment in a particular way which was not found to be sustainable for more than 2 years. After that, it would lead to problems. So let's say this configuration is not optimal, so we have to find a new way to configure the system. So all these things which an organization learns and evolves, that's how an organization evolves, right? By making mistakes and learning from it. So it's all about improvising the organization by using these data. So we get all this data, and what is the inference? It's important to analyze what it means. What is the root cause? What is the prediction for the future based on this data? What is the trend it is indicating? And then use it to optimize the business processes. I hope you caught that point, because that's an important point. So that was about business intelligence, and data warehousing is one of a core subject in MIS, which is closely linked to business intelligence. Data warehousing, also known as enterprise data warehousing, is a system used for reporting and data analysis, and is considered a core component of business intelligence. It's used for data reporting and analysis. Data warehouse maintains a copy of information from the source transaction systems. The architectural complexity provides the opportunity to congregate data from multiple sources into a single database, so a single query engine can be used to present data. So there may be data coming from various sources, structured, unstructured, normalized, denormalized, from various different databases. You have to kind of consolidate them into a standard normalized format, so you can extract the data easily and make reports from it and dashboards from it and inferences from it. It's about getting all these different types of data sources into a standard format. That's one of the things they do. And mitigate the problem of database isolation level log contention in transaction processing systems caused by attempts to run large, long-running analysis queries in transaction processing databases. So it's about, usually enterprise-level large database systems. And maintain data history, even if the source transaction systems don't. So it's important to know how this data is being changed, manipulated, what's going on. It's about, for compliance reasons and also for, performance of the organization, we have to identify how this data is performing. Integrate data from multiple source systems, enabling a central view across the enterprise. This benefit is always valuable, but particularly so when the organization has grown by merger. Let's say two organizations had different database systems. They had a merger, an acquisition, and then we integrate data from multiple source systems, and then using a central view. So this is some of the things they do in data warehousing. So benefits of data warehousing: improve data quality by providing consistent codes and descriptions, flagging and even fixing bad data. Present the organization's information consistently. Using these standard processes, you get a consistent view of how data trends are occurring in the organization, and what kinds of data are coming in and what they mean to the organization's future. Provide a single common data model for all data of interest, regardless of the data source. Restructure the data so that it makes sense to the business users. Restructure the data so it delivers excellent query performance, even for complex analytical queries, without impacting the operational systems. Add value to operational business applications, notably customer relationship management systems. So it's about using different database systems to get data in a standard format which can be used by multiple different departments in the desired format. And it's about providing each department what relevant data, what data is relevant for them, so, and what it means, for what it implies for their department. So data mining is the computational process of discovering patterns in large data sets involving methods at the intersection of artificial intelligence, machine learning, statistics, and database systems. So there's all this data coming. What are the trends that the data implies? What does it really mean for the organization's future? So if, like I've talked about earlier, particular set of bugs is recurring again and again, it means they didn't do a good job in designing this business process, or in analyzing the root cause of these bugs. They didn't fix them right. They didn't do this bit of the architectural model right. So that's what it means. So it's about having people sit and analyze what these data mean, and advise the organization how to optimize their processes and procedures. So data mining also, apart from raw analysis, involves database and data management aspects, data pre-processing, model and inference considerations, interestingness metrics, complexity considerations, post-processing of discovered structures, visualization, and online updating. So we have so many things in data mining that these are all different components. We use some kind of machine learning algorithms often. Not necessarily neural networks, but maybe sometimes. But we use various statistical models and statistical tools to do data mining. And this is an interesting and a very, very interesting subject, and a very useful core activity that needs to be done in almost any organization. We have all this data. What does it mean? How do you make inferences? That's like a fundamental thing you do, right? So data mining is important. Complex event processing. So it's a method of tracking and analyzing or processing streams of information about things that happen, events, and deriving a conclusion from them. So CEP, or complex event processing, is about analyzing data from multiple sources to infer events or patterns such as more complicated circumstances. The goal of complex event processing is to identify meaningful events such as opportunities or threats and respond to them as quickly as possible. For example, if there's a program that's running there which says, let's talk about information security. There's this particular, weak link in this application that was prone to attacks from so many hackers. And during this particular time, a lot of people tried to break into this particular system. So what does that mean? And it was also in the news that there was this, let's say, Nigerian gang, of criminals who were trying to hack into software companies in the US, especially, say, California, Silicon Valley, and that gang was something they were recently apprehended or something like that. So what can you make from these three? So that gang was operating at this time, and they were focusing on this area where this company is located, and our website was exactly the kind of software that they were attacking, and we had exactly the kind of weak links that they were targeting. And if you look at the IP address from where these attacks came, it's probably from their sources. So what can you make from this? Hey, this gang is after us. That's what you make from it, right? Complex event processing. So we talk about how to proactively prevent this, and how to prescribe remedies to thwart these threats. And it's about making inferences of complex things that are happening, whether it's an opportunity or a threat. So let's say a customer has purchased this particular, for 20 years he's been a customer. He purchased this particular old software, then he purchased another add-on to make this work, and then he purchased another third-party software to integrate with it, to make it more efficient, to keep up with his competitors. He's doing all this, but then the company came up with, he's not happy about his return on investment, and let's say that equipment is taking too long to deliver care to patients or something. So suppose the company developed a new product last year that can do the same thing like 50 times faster. So this customer is complaining, it's unhappy, and he's always, complaining about the system and, whatever. So based on a complex set of activities, the customer is complaining and the slowness of the system, that system's always, crashing and creating problems. So what can I make from this? Hey, it's an opportunity for this customer to upgrade to our new system. So that may be a very simple example, but it's about predicting opportunities or threats. And it's about complex event processing is all about using automated software to, identify opportunities and threats and advise the organization accordingly. For example, there may be so many thousands of incoming events. Let's say you see the church bells ringing, so that maybe there's a celebration going on, or maybe it's Christmas, or maybe there's a mass going on, something, we don't know. The church bells are ringing, and then the appearance of a man in a tuxedo and a woman in a flowing white gown. What could they be doing? Well, think about that. There's probably a big celebration going on with a man and a woman dressed in like bridal. She's dressed in bridal attire. So, and there's rice flying through the air. Now, come on. From these three, what can you make out? Hey, there was a wedding going on in the church. So that's a simple example. So, this kind of software automatically identifies and infers what's going on and identifies opportunities and threats proactively to help an organization. So that's another thing we do with data mining. So BI track and MIS. So in an MIS program, you can specialize in the business intelligence track by taking a lot of BI courses like data mining, advanced database systems, data warehousing, statistical data mining, applied multivariate statistical methods. So we can learn all these different courses. If you take a subset of these courses, then you'll probably get certified that you did your MIS with a BI concentration, business intelligence major. You can do a generic MIS with just like a subset of these courses, but if you want to get a major like business intelligence, then you might have to take these courses and some more, depending on what the university stipulates. So you can major in different things. Like an MBA, you can major in marketing or finance or entrepreneurship, or you can do a generic MBA. So it's the same in MIS. You can major in business intelligence, major in information security. You can major in so many different things. So business performance management metrics. So using business intelligence and data mining, data warehousing, we usually have like a huge set of metrics which help an organization assess whether they're on the right track towards their goals. So it's customer related numbers. They want to know how many new customers were acquired, status of existing customers, who went with the competition, who's still sticking on, who's upgrading, that kind. Attrition of customers. So turnover generated by segments of the customers, outstanding balances in terms of payments, and possibly using demographic filters, collection of bad debts within customer relationships, demographic analysis of individuals applying to become customers, levels of approval, rejections, pending numbers, delinquency analysis of customers behind on payments. So they want reports about all these things. Suppose the customer hasn't paid his previous bills and his company is not doing well, he has no money, and then he's asking for credit or something to buy a new equipment. Well, would you trust him? Would you not? You think he's like a problem customer, you don't want to have anything to do with him. You have to make all these strategic decisions, and use of business intelligence and business performance management metrics helps in making these decisions. So there's also about profitability of customers by demographic segments, campaign management. When you run a campaign, like you want to know whether it's successful or not using key performance indicators. Real-time dashboard on key operational metrics, clickstream analysis on a website, so that's about making websites successful, key product portfolio trackers, marketing channel analysis, sales data analysis by product segments, call center metrics. There's all these different metrics that organizations need, and business intelligence, data mining, data warehousing together, they help you deliver these metrics and dashboards. So questions asked when implementing a business performance management program include goal alignment queries. So determine the short and medium term purpose of this program. What strategic goals of the organization will the program address? So does it align to the organization's mission? How long do we take to achieve this goal? And so we have to prepare hypotheses about how a new initiative will eventually improve results and performance in a strategy map. So these are some of the things we do using business performance management. And in any business performance design, the typical questions are like baseline queries. We talk about assess the current information gathering competency. Does the organization have the capability to monitor important sources of information? What data is being collected? How is it being stored? What are the statistical parameters of this data? Cost and risk queries. So estimate the financial consequences of a new business intelligence initiative. Assess the cost of the present operations and the increasing costs associated with the BPM initiative. What is the risk that the initiative will fail? So risk assessment should be converted into a financial metric and included in the planning. So if you're starting a new initiative or improvising or changing an existing initiative, we have to take into consider all these queries and considerations. It's all about business performance design. Customer and stakeholder queries. So who's going to benefit from this initiative? Who will pay for this? Who has a stake in the current procedure? How is it going to affect different segments of people? So how will customer benefits be monitored? So it's like all these considerations that need to go into designing a new initiative or upgrading or improvising an existing initiative. So metrics related. Talk about, are we getting the right metrics? Are we preparing the right dashboards? And how many metrics need to be tracked? If it's a large number, what kind of system can track them? So we have to make all these complex system level decisions sometimes, technical and functional in business intelligence for business performance optimization. So we talk about, are we using the right measurement tools? Are we using the right tactics? Are we using the right methodology? We question all these things and we can customize them using these business intelligence tools. So let's talk about another important aspect of an MIS program, that is information security. So in any information system, security is of like paramount nature. So security is very, very important. And systems and network devices which store, manage, transmit, and secure information are information security systems. This course is designed to provide a working knowledge of issues and techniques surrounding the proper safeguarding of operating systems and related components. Information security in private and public sectors. The course exposes the student to a broad range of computer systems and information security topics, designed to provide a general knowledge of measures to ensure confidentiality, availability, and integrity of information systems. So we talk about hardware security, software security, and network security. So there's all these different standards like InfoSec, OPSEC, and NSTISS. They talk about overviews of all these things. Components include national policy, threats, countermeasures, risk management, and such. Let's say in different universities, sometimes if you major in information security, they give you a certificate. So which says you're certified in information security to be a specialist. So for example, in the University of Arizona, their MIS program is very highly ranked in the United States. And they get students completing the course with information security major are awarded NSA CNSS certificates, number 4011, that's CNSS 4011, Information Systems Security Professionals, and CNSS 4012, that's Senior Systems Managers. So if you have the certificate and you go to the industry, you're certified, you know how to manage their information system security. So that's what it means. So we talked about different courses, tracks, components of an MIS program. Let's talk about what job titles you can hold after graduating with a degree in MIS and what the career path will be. So you could hold profiles like a business analyst, IT consultant, systems developer, technical support specialist, network administrator, information systems manager, business process engineer, web developer, systems analyst, project manager, technical program manager, technology advisor, database administrator, data scientist, risk associate. So we can have different kinds of titles that we can hold. So depending on what your specialization was, what your interest is, what job offer you got, it depends on so many things. So a technical support specialist is more like, often in the help desk and call center. So project manager, program managers are more at the management level. So technology advisor advises on what technology is best to use. And database administrator, these people are more at the database level. So web developer is more about developing, good web-based applications. So these are some of the different titles you can hold. And a business analyst is someone who translates business requirements into system level specifications which the developers can develop. So after an MIS degree, you can also do research in MIS. You can do like a PhD in business intelligence, a PhD in entrepreneurship, or a PhD in IT systems, a PhD in CRM. There's so many different subjects in which you can do a PhD. And if you're interested in research, you can develop new algorithms, protocols, and ways of doing things, and publish papers, and become like a faculty member in the MIS department. You can also do research. There's ample scope for research too. Don't think that MIS is only for people who want to become managers in the industry. You can also do a lot of research in MIS, but you'd have to do a PhD and then get into research. So I think this gives us an overview of what MIS is all about, and I hope you find this useful, and I hope you think before you jump and think about whether you really want to do MBA or MIS or MS in computer science. What exactly do you want to do now that you know what these programs are all about? So think and make the right choice. Remember, you probably do a master's degree only once in a lifetime, so make the right choice. Right university, right program, everything has to be right. There's a million ways in which you could screw up. So a lot of people also do an integrated MBA, MIS, MBA integrated dual degree program. So like if you take, for example, 4 semesters to do an MBA, most people in 4 semesters, they take a few more MIS courses and they do MIS and MBA. It's quite doable, and they graduate in 2 years with MIS and MBA. Especially I've seen people who had scholarship, complete scholarship in my MBA program. Some of them took 5 semesters. They took 1 more semester, and they, in second year they applied to the MIS program and they got a dual degree, MIS and MBA. It's really cool. Maybe for 1 semester some of them had to pay for the MIS program, but some of them they did it in 4 semesters, and what scholarship they got for MBA, they used it for MIS too. And a lot of people do get funding in MIS programs. Some people get full funding, some get partial funding, some don't get funding. It depends on your experience, your exam scores, and things like that. So MIS is a very interesting course, very useful. You learn a lot about management, communication, technology, database. You learn so many different things, and also software IT tools. So it's actually a cool course, and it's a very good program. So think about it, and I hope you make the right decisions. Thank you.